So today we're going to go ahead and graph our equations using our slope-intercept form, but this time our equations that we're given are not going to be in the right form. So remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We've been working with this all week. Our m value is our slope. Our b value is our y-intercept. And that means that the b value gives us a point, 0, comma, and then whatever the b is, that's where it's going to cross the y-axis, okay? So let's say that we have an equation that's written 2x plus 3y equals 6. Now this equation is not in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is also called the y equals form, because it starts with the y and then it's the equal sign and then everything else is on the right hand side. Now this equation is not set up like that. This is actually standard form. So what we need to do first before we can even graph this is we need to solve for y equals mx plus b forms. We need the y to be by itself on the left hand side. Now to start doing that, we can start rearranging the equation. So remember that the equal sign is your balancing point. And if we want to get y by itself, we're going to solve for y just like we would if we had one variable. So we do have two variables, so this entire 2x has to be moved to the other side. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. Now those cancel each other out and we're left with 3y is equal to, now we have a 6 and a negative 2x. Now we can't combine those because they are not like terms, but we can write them in a line. Remember that for our equation, we want the x to be before our b value or our number by itself. So let's go ahead and put the negative 2x first, and the b value is 6, and it's a positive 6, so we're going to put plus 6. Now the next step would be to get y by itself, to get rid of this 3. So this is 3 times y, so to undo the multiplication, we're going to divide by 3 and divide everything on the other side by 3. We end up with y equals, and then when we start to simplify this, the negative 2x is being divided by 3 here, and the 6 is being divided by 3. So it's almost like when you distribute, multiply by two things, it's kind of similar to that. We're dividing by both of it. So negative 2 divided by 3, x, or negative 2x divided by 3, and then a positive 6 divided by 3. So we can simplify this a little bit further, and we have y equals, we're going to leave this. This is a great way to write slope as a fraction, so negative 2/3 x plus 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. Okay, so that's my answer. So from there, I could go ahead and graph this by using my intercept and using my slope. So let's try solving for y equals on one more before we graph. So this time we have 4x minus y equals 12. And we want to solve for y equals mx plus b. So we're going to do the same thing. Here's my balancing point at the equal sign. I want to get y by itself, so I need to move the 4x over. I do that by doing the opposite, so negative 4x or minus 4x from both sides. I get minus y equals, let's go ahead and put these in one line because they are not like terms, so negative 4x plus 12. Now my last step here, I do have y by itself, but there's a negative sign in front. So we can't have that negative sign there. We want y completely by itself, and it needs to be positive. So to get rid of this, this is really negative 1 times y. So we can divide by negative 1 on both sides. to get rid of the negative sign, and we're left with y equals, again, these are two different terms. We're multiplying here and here. We're dividing by both of those, not multiplying. So we end up with negative 4x divided by negative 1, and we have the positive 12 divided by negative 1 on this side. Okay, so from here, let's go ahead and simplify further. So y equals negative 4 divided by negative 1 is just a positive 4, so it's 4x, and 12 divided by negative 1 is a negative 12. So my final equation that I would be graphing is y equals 4x minus 12. So we're going to go ahead and look at our homework and do one and actually graph it. So let me switch here. So number 1 on your homework, this is 5.3 assignment that you're doing this week. So we want to solve each equation for y equals 4 and then graph each line. So we have 6x plus y equals 1. So I'm going to rewrite that over here. So I have 6x plus y equals 1. I want to get it in y equals form. So here's my balancing point. I need to move the 6x over, so I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. And I get y is equal to, let's put these in a line, negative 6x plus 1. So this is the equation. It's the same equation as the original one, we just rearranged it. But now we know two things. We know this m value and we know the b value. The b value, remember, is my intercept. So my intercept is at 0, 1 because this is a positive 1 here. So that's where I'm going to start graphing. So at 0, 1 is going to be the first point on my graph. My slope is negative 6, or I can rewrite that as negative 6 over 1. So if it's negative 6 over 1, I'm going to go down 6 because rise over run. So rise is up and down, and it's negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 1 would be my second point. So from there, I can go ahead and graph. And my kids ran away with my ruler. So let me grab a piece of paper to make a straight line here. All right, so I'll use a piece of paper, and we will go ahead and draw that out. Okay, so the rest of the assignments today, so you have 5 more of these. The first thing you need to do is rearrange your equation to y equals form, identify what the slope is and the y-intercept, and then start graphing.